Welcome back to another week. Of course, selling on Amazon is one of the best opportunities to make money out there. But no journey is perfect, and of course it comes with its own set of wins and losses. So Kevin, could you tell us a little bit about what your challenges have been selling on Amazon?
Yeah, I'd say probably the number one challenge is just keeping up with the A9 algorithm, keeping your rank, and like I showed in one of the other episodes where we were talking where we lost a lot of money, and that's not because we had a bad product or bad reviews. That's because the algorithm it basically put us out of business. And so that can be a challenge sometimes. It's just dealing with that, and you're dealing with such a huge company that you're not always dealing with people. You're dealing with a machine or with a system, and it's not always fair, unfortunately. And so that's a challenge. But probably even bigger challenge than that is this business is so cash intensive. If you're successful, if you reach a certain level of success, it can just grow so fast because Amazon can scale so fast that you need a lot of cash. And if you recall one of the products I showed you earlier, that Apple Watch charging dock, the Basecamp, back in 2015, we were doing crazy numbers with that, like I said. And I didn't have the cash to make it. I call up my factory and I'm like, I need 8,000 more of these. And they're like, no problem, Kevin, that's $250,000. Because they were like 30 bucks a piece to get over. And I was selling for 90. And I didn't have $250,000 sitting around at that time. I was leveraged everywhere else, and I needed to get the money like overnight. And I could have gotten it from some other places, but it would have taken some time. And so I was like, what do I do? And so the only option was to go to what's called an MCA, or Merchant Cash Advance Loan. Back then there wasn't an Alta, there wasn't all these tools that you have now. Amazon Lending was just in its infancy, and I didn't qualify for it. So basically, to get that kind of money, I had to go to the equivalent of loan sharks, New York Mafia type of guys. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Boiler Room, but the guy who's featured in that ended up starting this whole business where they would give loans against your credit card receipts. So if you had credit card receipts coming in from your business, they would give you an advance against that. Well, they figured out a way that they didn't care if you had credit card receipts or not. They'd just give you an advance against your revenue. But they wouldn't call it a loan. They would call it an advance. So they skirted the law. But they would give you money overnight. So they would actually loan you, up to $100,000, $200,000 overnight. But the interest rates were like 40%. And when they loan you the money, the very next day, they actually start taking the money out of your account. So if they give you $100,000, you got to pay back $140,000. You got to pay that back in 90 days. And so every day they're taking $1,500 out of your account from day one until you've paid it back. So it's a cash flow nightmare. But when I had that doc doing so well, I did the math. It's like, even with the interest rate, I have the margins. It makes sense. I can still make a profit. So I actually took one of those loans. But in order to they wouldn't give me the full amount. So I had to do what's called stacking, where to get one loan for $100,000, get another one for 50, get another one for 25, and you have all these things. And so you have all these balls in the air, and then you have the Amazon thing going as well. And then that product ended up getting suspended on Amazon, and the whole house of cards came crashing down for a while until I was able to dig back out of it. So I would say the biggest challenge is, if you're successful on Amazon, is the cash flow. And that's why back then I didn't know everything, and that's why I teach now exactly what I teach in the Freedom Ticket, is all the ratios and knowing your cash flow and having enough money. I tell people to have 2.5 times their initial product investment. I tell everybody all those kinds of things. I've learned all that from my experience, and so I'm hoping to help everybody else scale quickly without going through the same mistakes and growing pains that I had to go through.
Well, thank you for sharing. Hopefully this helps you watching as well to know that no journey is without its own obstacles. Keep up the good work, and we will meet you here again next week.